War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about something within the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you are watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, and spending time with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. It is Wednesday night. Honestly, truthfully, this has become my favorite time of the week, my favorite live stream that we do, my favorite video that we do of all the content, just because it's all about you, the Auburn family, and our E2C network family. Your calls, your questions, your comments will be taken throughout the night tonight as we discuss what's going on. Obviously, a very big football game week is ahead of us. Basketball's in full swing. If you haven't been paying attention on social media today, signing day for a ton of the sports, lots of things going on across Auburn family discussion stuff, so we can dive into any of it and all of it that you would like to tonight. We will be opening up the phone lines in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, what I would like for you all to do, whether you are watching live on the replay, is use this as our kind of little ritual together. Post where you're watching from. This is your check-in period right now. Post where you're watching from, city, state, or international, with a War Eagle. I know for those of you who've been here for a long time, it doesn't seem like you need to do that anymore, but it seems redundant. But it's just our little ritual that we do every single time. So let me know that you are here by posting that in the chat or in the comments section if you're watching on the replay. Would love to know who is here hanging out with us tonight. We are starting a little bit early tonight, just because, no reason, because I felt like it. So I know a lot of you are probably like, what? Why is he starting so early? Just kind of felt like it. Every once in a while, I like to change things up a bit. So technically, we were supposed to start at 8, but just because I missed you guys so much. So as we get started tonight, what I will do is open up the phone lines for everybody right now to take advantage of. You can click the link at the top. You can get in the queue, which we already have someone queued up. We'll get to them in just shortly. And take advantage of that, and we'll get you in as soon as we can. So just stay patient in there if you call tonight. Every once in a while, we just get jammed up with callers, but most of the time I can get you right on in there. So don't be shy. I don't bite too hard. We would love to hear from you. Let's start off by saying hello to a couple of people that are already in the chat tonight. We got Carrie Yang checking in, High Fly checking in, War Eagle. I did watch basketball this week. I love watching basketball. Let's see. Dwight on Facebook. Linda checking in from Lake Martin. Beautiful Lake Martin. Good to see a lot of familiar faces and faces we haven't seen in some time. So good to see that. I'll answer this question really quickly. Am I going to the open house? So the answer to that would be yes, but I am trying to go in another capacity too. I have not gotten my confirmation if that's going to happen yet, but I'm hoping to be there to cover it, to talk about it, to share photos maybe from it. I don't know what I'll be allowed to do, but regardless, I will be at the open house in the sense that at some point I'll probably pass through for the first time or a second, third, fourth, fifth time, because it's going to be really cool to walk in there. I, I don't know what the setup is going to be like. I may try to do a live stream from there. I don't know what will be the feeling of doing that though. So I don't want to like ruffle any feathers. Just stay tuned is all I can say. All right, we will go ahead and say hello to our first caller tonight because he's been waiting patiently. It was right on the money. There he is, Mr. Positivity himself, Mr. Kevin. What's going on, sir?
War Eagle, Cal, I think we will beat Texas A&M.
I sure hope so, buddy, because we need it more than anything right there for a variety of reasons. It would be really nice to get Coach Caddy his first win
Yeah.
in Jordan-Hare Stadium, wouldn't it?
He was pumped up.
Yeah, he was. Wouldn't you be if you just got named the head coach of your alma mater? Wouldn't you be pumped up too?
Yeah, I wish I was the coach there.
You wish you were the coach there. I think we all, to some degree, wish we were the coach. I I would love to say that I have the ability to be a good head football coach, but the reality is I probably don't. People probably would not like me in that role. I probably make decisions that people don't like, but that's just me. But
How's the how's the wide receivers looking?
other than how I saw them in the last game, I don't necessarily get the opportunity to attend practice or anything like that, so I haven't heard anything new from that. We used a lot more new names, or we're starting to use guys that we haven't heard a lot. Coy Moore, Dzalen Warsham got used in the last game, so I like getting to see new names in the mix.
That Comedy Brown's good.
Camden Brown. Camden Brown, you mean? Yes, Camden Brown is a very good football player. He is a very big football player. He is a humongous target that we hope that they continue to utilize as well as they can, because you want to utilize guys like that with that length, with that height, with just the wingspan, they call it. They can go up there and just get a ball, especially when you got a young quarterback. Maybe he's not as accurate as he can be. Gives him a lot of extra wiggle room.
And what's the deal with TJ?
What do you mean? What's his future?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know, right? The only ones that know that are he and the coaching staff, and I'm sure his teammates, right? Because it sure does look suspicious when you don't travel with the team and they say he's out for personal reasons. You don't really have to read too far between the lines to figure out probably what that means. My guess is, buddy, that he's probably done as an Auburn Tiger. I'm just guessing, though. That's all,
Robbie looked good running the ball.
Running the ball, he looked very good. We talked a little bit about that during our grades and breakdown this last Monday live stream about how he looked good in that aspect. Still some things to be achieved as a passer, but he's a young guy with lots of time and lots of talent.
How about Jamal Cobb? Is he still coming to Auburn?
Well, from what I saw on social media, for those of you that don't know, Jeremiah Cobb is one of our higher rated recruits out there, running back from Montgomery Catholic, which is actually very close to where I grew up.
Yeah.
He has been an Auburn commit the longest time. He was seen at his last game holding a Georgia towel. I think you probably saw that too, maybe. That makes people a little bit worried with everything that's been going on, that he might be trying to send a message. I think he was trying to send a message. I think people forget sometimes that these athletes, high school, college, otherwise, see all the stuff that we post about, that we say, and sometimes they like to get a rise out of people. I don't know Jeremiah Cobb. He's committed for now, and I will take him at his word until he does otherwise.
He told everybody he's still committed to Auburn.
Well, yeah, we haven't heard anything otherwise, but sometimes people will say they're committed, but they're not actually. They just don't want to admit it until National Signing Day. I'm not saying that's what's going on, but it's happened before, so it's not, you can't rule it out. High Fly even says that he ran all over high school. If you've seen some of this guy's highlights and his stats, he's quite the talent.
And our basketball team's good.
So far, one game down, many more to go. So we will be able to assess how good when we get a few more games.
Who they play Friday?
So they got South Florida coming up.
Oh, South Florida.
Yep. And then I forget the third game, but the fourth game is Texas Southern the next Friday. Is it? Oh gosh, I should know this. It's on the top of my head, and I can't get it out to come out. But either way, they're expected for the first part of the non-conference to kind of do what you expect to win. We'll start hitting a little bit more challenges when we get to St. Louis and things like that.
And the girls basketball team won too.
It's a great start for them too, right? It's nice to see everything in Neville right now. Arena, volleyball, both basketballs, gymnastics is gonna be good. We're gonna have a lot of success in Neville Arena.
When does gymnastics start?
They usually don't get started till the turn of the new year. So they usually have like a preview meet, and I think that's like mid-November, something like that, where they'll kind of like allow you to come in and see them practicing against each other. But that's about it. But January is usually where the season gets started.
I might try go to the last Auburn game next Saturday.
Well, you better, because I haven't got the chance to meet you in person yet. So maybe we can make that happen before the season's out. But even if it doesn't, we'll make it happen before too long, Kevin. You got one more question?
how's Zach Cazada doing?
I don't know Zach, and I haven't heard anything otherwise. He did have his season-ending surgery, so he's just kind of doing what you need to do to rehab that right now, I would imagine. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens when a new head coach gets here, whoever that ends up being, a new staff gets here, if he wants to stick around. It's going to be a whole different world next year. We'll be talking about another quarterback race, I'm sure. So it could be interesting. We'll wait and see what happens with Zach.
They showing all the running backs for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Tank stick around.
It would be nice to have him come back, but I wouldn't count on it just because I think he needs to probably go get his money while he can do so.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll meet up soon, probably either at a football game or something else.
War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle, Kevin.
Bye.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
All right, that was Kevin. Good to always hear from him. I think we're going to probably start seeing a lot of our regulars that we haven't seen. They're probably like, "You've been live for 10 minutes?" Yeah, I went rogue and went live a little bit early because I wanted to tonight. Why not, right? I just realized I monitor the stream on something else right next to me, and I realized it wasn't running. So that's how can you check the health of the stream if you don't have it running. All right. Take advantage of that call-in link if you'd like to. Don't be shy. I'd love to hear from some of you all tonight about what you want to talk about. Ooh, we got another caller, and we'll get him in just a second here. You know what I forgot to do? I always do my checks every single stream, and I always forget to bring up our friends at allthingsauburn.net. Let's go ahead and talk about them right now. This is a good space to do that. Allthingsauburn.net is a place for you to not just find a place to stay when you want to be on the loveliest village on the plains, but to have a full and complete Auburn experience. That's why it's called All Things Auburn. They are about 0.3 walking miles. It's not long. Trust me, I've done it. Mama Goldberg's, that's where they are. Within Neville Arena, Jordan Hare, Plainsman Park, and downtown Auburn. It's all good stuff. Go stay there. Go check that place out. Check out allthingsauburn.net. For a place to stay when you are on the loveliest village on the plains. All right, a couple more calls, a couple more questions here before we take our next caller tonight. And yes, everybody's figuring out that I started early tonight. Yes, I did. I knew that was going to throw a few of y'all off tonight that I started early. Will you be at the basketball game Friday night? If someone can give me a ticket, I will. I think I've shared this before. I probably will not be blessed with the opportunity to actually be in the media seats this year. Always working towards that. Just doesn't like it's in the cards this year. So I will rely on tickets that can be reasonably purchased, or if you got any free ones, I'll take them too. So let me know. Which players impressed you at the basketball game? Wendell Green. It's I'm going to say like the easy ones. You know, Wendell Green impressed me. Janai Broom. My boy Jalen Williams. Yes. I love Jalen Williams. So yeah, we got a lot of bright stars and good things coming our way. I think the standing room only tickets are sold out, right? If not, or maybe it's an exorbitant price. I'll have to go check. But most of the standing room only tickets now are like $50 or something like that. All right, let's get our next caller in here. He's ready. He's primed to go. Mr. Thomas Manville, what's going on, sir?
War Eagle, Kyle. It'll be a very quick call this evening, but we did just start talking about TJ Finley. So,
yeah.
I really hate it for the guy. I do, because I was rooting for him. As you know, insufficiencies are insufficiencies at the quarterback position, but
right.
I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy. I'm very glad that he chose Auburn to come here and spend the time and give us his effort. But from what I hear from a customer who's well in the know, that it's been in the works for a little while that he was ready to get out here.
Yeah.
Looking to head home towards Louisiana.
Yeah, we got a little call coming through there. I heard you though for the most part there that it sounds like it's been for a while he was going to be on the way out.
Yeah, and I dislike it. I truthfully do. And again, I'm appreciative of TJ Finley for deciding to come to Auburn and spend his time here. I really am. And I hate it's not working out for the guy, but that's one that we kind of talked about weeks and weeks ago in that preseason position breakdown that I had, that he was probably going to be gone if he wasn't the starter. But That's really all I got tonight, and I really hate it, and I want to just publicly say thank you, TJ, for your time at Auburn. We appreciate you.
I concur. I absolutely concur, Thomas. I mean, listen, it sucks when you see people decide that their opportunities are elsewhere. I love it when someone decides they want to be a part of the Auburn family. And listen, it's always this weird thing too. When someone leaves, are they out of the family, so to speak? When you're a graduate like Bo, you're still, you're kind of attached to that. You don't have to be a graduate to be attached. It's about what you choose to be. So TJ, if he wants to still be amongst this and be part of this, he has every right to be and every opportunity to be. But sometimes it's good to just part ways too. So that's really up to him and what he wants to be most associated with. Here's what I hope for him. I hope he finds a place that is best suited for his skill set. One that preferably has a much more prepared offensive line, less injury ridden as well. I think that's what's in his best interest. And it sucks because in my perfect world, we wouldn't have gone through this. In my perfect world, we would have been perfect and everybody would be hunky dory, winning with TJ at the helm. Harson's still here. We wouldn't be going through this again. And that's how it would be. So you're right. It does suck, but wish him all the best.
Absolutely. And if you ever loved Auburn, you probably still love it.
Right. To some level, even if you don't want to publicly acknowledge it because you had a rough time there, we know when you get to Auburn, it gets in your blood and, it stays. Yeah, there's been some stuff about this. His dad was not happy with how he was utilized under Harsin. You can kind of understand some of that. I would say I would caution parents from doing that type of thing. It very rarely works out in a good way long term. That's just my opinion. I'm not a father yet, so it's a much different statement coming from me as opposed to someone who is a parent. I can understand how you're wanting to stick up for your kids. So, but it's just me. I probably wouldn't have done that, but you do. Everybody makes different choices. That's what you got anything else tonight?
No, that was it. I got to make it a quick one this evening. I'll still be in the chat here and there, but I got a lot going on at the house this evening.
I got one thing for you. Everybody else ignore this. I know you can hear this just for me and Thomas. If you have time at the end of the stream, I don't know if you're going to be busy, call back in when the stream's over. You can still call back. I got something I want to talk to you about. You're in trouble.
No,
you're not in trouble. But if you're free, hit the same link, call back in. You and I'll chat for a minute.
If not, I'll send you a message when I get the first chance I get, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thanks,
buddy. All right, buddy. Have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
War Eagle to Thomas. Good to have him here always on the stream. And good to start off with two familiar callers tonight. I got my board switched around there. That was really weird. All right. So we've hit a couple of topics so far. Some of the roster stuff, TJ basketball, super excited for that. You saw a lot of good things from the basketball team. And really the biggest question right now and problem for me is trying to find a decently priced ticket. Is anybody else in the chat planning on going? Already got a ticket purchased or anything like that? Like, how are you guys going about that? I need to get on buying my ticket for here in Atlanta because that's when I went to last year and had a really good time at. I think, did I ride into I thought I rode into yeah, I did, didn't I? I think I rode the MARTA in and everything. So it kind of felt like it was like a whole experience. If you've ever done MARTA here in Atlanta, it's a beast unto itself. Yeah. So here's the tough thing, kind of back on that discussion point about his dad doing the podcast. And I think it was Zach Blackerby's podcast, if I'm not mistaken. And don't hear me when I say this. It's not a fault on Zach or anybody like that. You take the content that you can get, right? I wouldn't be done with TJ simply because of his father. That's just me though, Linda. And maybe you don't mean that, but I understand also. That's why I said it's probably not the best interest of a parent to do something like that because it does do exactly what you're saying, kind of leave a sour taste in your mouth because there's that whole thing of, these are assumptions we're making, so please hear me. I'm not making definitive statements about anybody. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, all that kind of stuff. But this is a parent trying to defend their child at the same time. I say this a lot because it's the truth. It's a tough situation all the way around. And it sucks that it didn't work out here at Auburn. Because in my perfect world, everybody would be happy, winning, hunky-dory. Nobody would be fired. Everybody get along on social media. We wouldn't have an Auburn civil war at times. But that's not the way the ball bounces sometimes. All right. So you guys keep leaving comments and questions in the chat, and can call in if you would like to. Talk today. I did a video today about is this the most important game for Auburn's football 2022 season? Go check that out if you haven't. Just some quick things about that. I mean, it's kind of a redundant question, but it's a question that's good for asking. And I think the answer, for many reasons, I gave 4 in that, is yes. And the obvious one is you need all 3 games to be bowl eligible. The likelihood of that happening is very small. It is possible, very possible, but it would require Alabama continuing to fall and us taking care of business at home, which is those are the 2 most likely things to happen. It's that Alabama game that seems very, very limited. I agree. I like my perfect world too. My perfect little pocket world. Everything's happy and hunky-dory, but that's not reality, and that's not real life. This is where real life happens. So yeah, got to win these 3 games. If you don't, it's not like the season is over in a sense. I mean, it is. It has a more concrete, finite end. No bowl game if you don't win all 3. But it does kind of change maybe how things go going forward. It'll be interesting to see if Auburn is somehow able to pull off a win in all 3 games. A, where do they go? Probably the Birmingham Bowl. B, who do they play? And how is that managed? You know, it would be really cool for me personally, as a Cadillac super fan, right behind me, right there, to have this man lead us in a bowl game. Because you got to think that even though a new head coach will hopefully by that time be named or will be close to coming here, it'll be very similar to what happened last year. Coach Cadillac will get the opportunity to lead these men in the preparations for that. And how cool is that going to be? But how good is that for his resume? Because I've made it very clear here, and I know I'm not the only one. Humongous Cadillac fan. And that's going to be an opportunity for him to have something on his resume that not a lot of people are going to have for him going forward. And it's going to make it very dangerous in terms of trying to keep him. That man loves Auburn, but you also need to be smart for your career, right? And just because someone wants to leave and pursue something else doesn't mean they love Auburn any less, but it would be in his best interest if I forget who was talking about it, to credit them with this idea, and I'm sure several others, but there was a discussion this week I heard on some podcast, some radio entity or some video talking about, for like Cadillac, you know, what if like an Arkansas State? I know that that's the first one that comes to mind. There's the connection between Arkansas State and Auburn is just ridiculous at this point. Comes calling. Do they want to take a risk on a running back coach who just became interim but got an opportunity to lead a bowl game through those type of preparations? You bet that makes him look kind of attractive. It'd be really interesting to see. My hope is that he is able to stay in whatever capacity that is. My hope is that he is able to be retained as the running back coach, maybe a co-offensive coordinator type of situation. Right now, he's not calling the plays, but he doesn't necessarily have that on his resume right now. So that would be something else to add. So I think, honestly, you know, first of all, if they can convince him, convince the head coach, whoever that is, assuming Cadillac somehow miraculously doesn't win the job, which it's not going to happen, right? Just reality, trying to base things in reality right now, not questioning if he deserves it or anything like that, but just trying to think about what's the best pitch for him. Is it to, you know, have a guy come in that you can have as a co-OC? get a little bit of play calling experience, not the complete play calling hand, never put on his resume to build for his future. Because that's a really easy sell for Cadillac. You love being here, gets to do something else or have another thing on his title and a little bit extra experience. I think he's already the recruiting coordinator, if I'm not wrong, which I found very interesting. If I have that all right, I thought Zach Etheridge was the recruiting coordinator slash associate head coach. They're all these titles. They just run together in my head, and I don't get them all straight sometimes. So go check that video out, talking about the important factors of what make this week so important for shaping Auburn's not just season, but for its future as well, if you can. And if we're thinking about doing a few more of those like short form things, you've seen me do the Ever to Podcast series, which it's kind of that evolution of it, of what I'm trying to do there. So if you guys like that type of stuff, let me know. Thinking about doing that. Always kind of trying to play with the content here and figure out what you guys may or may not like to watch or listen to, because I know some of you just put it on in the background and just let it play, which is perfectly fine. You are more than welcome to do that, because we're just happy that you're here and participating in our little family within the Auburn family. All right, what else? What else is on your mind right now? I think really the main focus for everybody is just getting to this weekend. It's been building for the last 2 weeks. The anticipation of this, can we just talk about for a second that a 3-6 Auburn football team just sold out the Texas A&M game? That's quite impressive. Speaks a lot to us as fans. It speaks a lot to the program's clout, even leaderless right now, direction in some regard, even though that direction is not really known. You tell me one other school out there that's able to sell out a game that is a contest for last place in the SEC, obviously for not to be in last place in the SEC West. If it wasn't for Vanderbilt, it'd probably be in the SEC and completely. That game is sold out. Think about that. Think about how ridiculous that sounds, but think about how amazing that sounds too. And the reason I purchased my tickets the moment Cadillac was announced, because I knew this was coming. I'm surprised it took that long. And maybe they needed to wait for the other stuff to cycle through to say that. But, maybe it just took till the day to sell it out. But I knew those tickets were going to go up through the roof and be very hard to come by the time we got to game time. So Wednesday, 3 days roughly before game time. Wow. How do I feel about the AD? Oh, by the way, Linda, I've seen you trying to get other people to call. You should call in. You need to call in. We've talked about this in person. You don't need to be shy. Just call in. Let people say hello to you. You don't even have to be on camera. Remember, it can be off camera. All you got to do is click that button. It'll go straight to your phone. All right. How do I feel about the AD hire? The more I sit on it, the more I look at it, the more I like it, Linda, to be honest with you. I think it presents lots of opportunities in lots of different areas. He is a guy that doesn't have experience with 3 of our sports. But what I took away from John Cohen after watching the press conference, which you can watch here at E2C Network YouTube channel, is a guy that seems very genuine, relationship-based, and you always want to believe this is true because I got this feeling, but I don't know him personally. A very humble guy, understanding where he's come from. It's a guy, I think, did I say reflective? I think that's how I said it. Genuine, reflective, and relationship-based. And I'm someone that very much believes in the power of relationships, friendships, and what they can do for you or what you can do for others through them. And he seems like a guy that kind of grasped that concept, talked a lot about, who was important to him in his life. He talked about him and Butch Thompson's relationship, him as the former head coach of Mississippi State baseball, and Butch Thompson at that time was his pitching coach, I guess associate head coach probably too. Probably had that some version of that title slapped on there for him. And then also had, just other relationships that he's talked about as well. So I feel really good about it. Was not that there was a splash hire out there for people. I mean, people were saying names like Hartwell from Utah State, who's just resigned from Utah State, which makes me think too, and apparently was quoted as saying they're moving back to the South. With Auburn ties, that tells me he's in line for something here in the administration. That's pure speculation. I do not know otherwise, but that says a lot, I think. I don't really know who would have been a splash hire. I mean, yeah, if you get a former player, a former coach, something like that, maybe that's a splash hire. But when you get a guy with SEC experience, you get a guy with, connections that he has, being so well versed in the SEC. That's a very valuable thing. It's not necessarily a knock on Alan Green. I think sometimes it's good to kind of buck the trend and to try to do something different. But on the same token, it's also, you got to do that very carefully, because I think Alan Green, being new to the SEC, he got a lot accomplished for us that will always be on his resume. I've talked about it some here before, about securing Bruce Pearl, made a brilliant hire, it seems, in a volleyball coach, retained Mickey Dean, who seems to be on the upswing with softball, and put into place some facility upgrades that started during his tenure, or at least the fundraising, the commitment to them. So this is a guy that, yes, has the Brian Harsin hire on his resume, but I still, for the most part, look back fondly on. So not that it's the biggest reputation to follow. I think that he just brings, this being John Cohen, brings a lot to the table, that lot more familiarity that's going to really play well for him. Yeah, the hot tub comment at the beginning of the press conference apparently was just the tweet and the joke, and just won the week. I think it was Brian Stoltz, if that's how you say his last name, that said it, one of the media members, and it was good. You gotta tip your hat to someone who is prepared for that moment. And I think John Cohen appreciated it a lot too, to have that. And it sounded like he at least kind of knew what he was referencing, but maybe not super familiar with it. But yes, we have confirmed he's never been in a hot tub with a coach. I think that's almost becoming too much of an insult to that whole thing, but I still get it. It's funny, but it's kind of being harped on too much as well. It's still funny though. I can laugh at that whole scenario. All right, let me think here. What else haven't we talked about with John Cohen? Obviously, I think baseball's in good hands. He seems to be a facilities guy, which, football has got some things that probably, so baseball's in the works, basketball's in the work. And I would say women's and men's, and probably volleyball to some extent, meaning that they will have benefits reaped from building another practice gym or expanding it, which is probably coming. There's been some upgrades, and maybe not necessarily like expanding it, but just upgrades that a lot of people have been talking about Jordan Hare. So it sounds like we found a guy with SEC experience in facilities upgrades. The Mississippi State expansion, I think, was during his tenure. Which, if you're not aware, Mississippi State used to be what I called a glorified high school football stadium. Had two sides, open like that, and the end zones were completely open. And I call it open, even though there was just like a set of like traditional high school bleachers in one end zone, because they had this giant jumbotron tower thing over in the other end zone where the locker rooms are. They've closed that other one in now with a traditional horseshoe shape now, which I think looks for Mississippi State and the type of crowds they get works really well. I have not seen it in person, but I have the expansion. I've seen the old thing, but looking at it on TV versus what I saw when I was there, it's not bad. So that's a sign of maybe things to come. Good to see you, Neil. No head coach yet, but maybe we have our head coach. I've seen a lot of people. Now, Linda, if you're gonna keep telling people to call in, you need to call in too. Neil can call in though. Neil doesn't know exactly. Well, he doesn't know at all where I live. We just know we live within miles of each other. It'd be funny if he actually creepy as well if he found where I was and like just came knocking on the door. I have a I want to call him a mentor because we don't know each other that well, but a friend who I seek out for a lot of advice and kind of follow his model of doing things with what I do here. He does something similar to this just on Facebook for him and his doors over here as well. And so every once in a while, he'll have some random person, but it's usually a friend. They'll just show up and he has to like go to the side and go let them in because it's really awkward if he doesn't. I'm not a coffee person, but we can make something happen. Absolutely. I know this sounds like a cop-out, and I don't mean it that way, but really, honestly, I really want to know when people are in Auburn because I think Devin and I, she's not here apparently right now, can attest to this. There's something about experiencing Auburn with Auburn people and just being there. I saw that. Just having conversations. I mean, we got to tour. Me and Devin, I showed her around campus. It was her first time there, her and her husband. But we sat in Mama Goldberg's for like 2 hours just chatting it up about sports, obviously, but, about a variety of other things. It's just good stuff. I love hanging out with Auburn people. Stan? Misbehaving? Maybe? I don't know. Neil, please don't ding dong ditch me. You will send my cats into a frenzy. And no, I'm not a cat person, but I have cats. My wife is a cat person. Unbeaten Lake says, I like the renovation plans we had a couple years ago where we would have moved the locker room to the north end zone and the players would walk out with fans on the side, kind of like the Cowboys. On the side. So you mean the sideline? That sure would help in terms of like post-game rushing the field. Wouldn't it? There's a lot of that discussion going on right now. Listen, they're going to do a lot of things in the future. It's just their money's got to come through. We got to fill out the stadium. I mean, honestly, that's really what it is. You got to start showing that you can hit your capacity with what you have now, and that'll justify it to the board of trustees, to the powers that be, that you need more space. So do those things, and you'll get your expansions. Thank you. I appreciate you not ding-dong ditching me, even though you don't know where I live. I don't know how you figure it out from here, but I'm sure there's some tech genius out there that can triangulate my position. Which is just super scary when you think about things, isn't it? It really is that people have the capability of doing that type of thing. A friend of mine sent me a Twitter post from someone claiming that Auburn hired Mike Leach. I nearly had a heart attack. It was fake. Well, yeah, you're going to get a lot of that lately. So today, talking about things that are fake, we had there's a Twitter post out there, someone has a parody account of being like a 24/7 person, and they shared the whole, Alabama's basketball stadium was ring cam killed Ding Dong Ditch. Talked about how their stadium, their arena, their hangar, whatever you want to call it for basketball, was barely, if anything, had people in it. And we jumped in on the fun of that, even though it was a fake parody account. And someone came on there and was like, this is a parody account. I was like, that's the point. We're having fun with it. It's don't believe everything that you see on Twitter, and don't believe that someone doesn't know that they were playing along with a gag. Kind of like how the Dallas Cowboys have club seats on or around the exit of the locker room. I think it was going to be like that. If I'm picturing what you're talking about, because I'm not a super big NFL fan, is it kind of similar to what happens with the Falcons? I guess in the Atlanta United, whatever they do. It seems like they come out in a similar fashion. If that's what you're talking about, to me, I don't really like that as much. I like that they have to go through the end zone and with the regular fans, like, because let's be honest, if you're in club seats, you're the donors, you're the big donors, you want to be surrounded by the common folk. No offense to the big donors, personally. Have I tried to listen to a Mike Leach press conference? No, but I've seen like all the clips that people post of it. He said he's disgusting. I don't know that I'd characterize him as disgusting. I wouldn't also say a national treasure. Here's what I do know. Mississippi football is much more interesting with him there. And for that, I am very, very thankful. Do I want him as my head coach? Absolutely not. But more of that has to do with the air raid system that he runs and anything, because I don't want that. I want to run the football. But I'm happy with having him a part of our conference because he just makes things interesting, right? Bury him. Imagine a day that was possible if all these had coincided together. A day where that will live in infamy, where you had like a Steve Spurrier. I'm trying to like put all these together. You had a Steve Spurrier, an Urban Meyer, trying to get all of them right here. Let's say Lane Kiffin at Tennessee. Georgia really didn't have anybody interesting character-wise. A Spurrier at South Carolina. Vanderbilt has anybody interesting. Mike Leach at that. Houston Nutt at Ole Miss. He was a character too. Les Miles at LSU. Just imagine like all of those coinciding together at the same time. How incredible of personality-wise that would be. It would just be the best in terms of entertainment value. Caddy is our national treasure, yes. When a new coach is hired, do you think Coach Williams and Hilliard will be retained? Well, they've definitely made the best case to be, I think so. But that's really up to who's the head coach, how much control they want over that, because that's going to be something, frankly, that will have to be pushed. And that's what on them, not because there's not a good reason to keep, let's say, a Cadillac, because that's the easiest one, right? Because that's the easiest way to endear yourself to a fan base, is to keep over the fan favorite, right? Ike, I think there'd be a lot of disappointment if he didn't stay. But on the same token, there'd also be a lot of people that wouldn't even like bat an eye at it, because they're just, it's not that they're not informed. They just don't care about him as much as they would at Cadillac. Cadillac's the big one there. So do I think they'll be retained? There's no way to know that. Cadillac has made himself plenty of allies here that he has the best chance. I think Ike probably does too, but Zach too would be thrown into that category, but we shall see. I don't know if I want Freeze. There's still a dark cloud above him from when he cheated at Ole Miss. So let me put that into perspective for you, Unbeaten Lake. Everybody in college football has cheated. It just hasn't been proven. He cheated in a variety of ways and got caught. And the big question here is, and me as a Christian, I believe in forgiveness, but I also believe that there are consequences for the mistakes that you make. And sometimes you still have to face those things. That's frankly not our job, in my opinion, to do that. But does that mean you should give Hugh Freeze a chance? No, not necessarily. But if he's the best option, and I'm not saying he is, then you've got to learn to be able to deal with that and forgive that and be an advocate for them and believe that they changed. Have they? I don't know. Has he? I've been told by people who seem to be more familiar with him than I am that change has taken place. I don't know, though. It would obviously put a lot of scrutiny on him in the football program if he came. There's a lot of people talking about that. Will there be an 04 reunion on the sidelines? It's going to be tough because Ronnie Brown and Jason Campbell have radio duties every single game to do. And everybody's got different schedules, I'm sure. But you can definitely plan to see some people there. It'd be cool to see like a Jarris McIntyre who coaches in Tampa come up. It'd be cool to see Junior. I don't know that Junior and Carlos Rogers are doing anything lately. Cadillac even talked about maybe, was it Marcus McNeil, who I think he's done in the NFL. So maybe it'd be really cool to see, wouldn't it? Really cool to see if like Tubbs could come down for that, but he's a little busy right now. There's no way we can allow him not to be retained. Well, we don't have a say in that. We'd like to think that we do, but I would assume that Freeze and Grimes would keep Caddy. Kiffin, Lanning. So Jack, I know your affiliation now, so I know why you're still pushing the Lanning thing. But I think when a coach, now let me say part number one, when a coach comes out and says definitively, I'm not going anywhere, you have to take them at your word. But then you have the whole Pine Box situation with Coach Tuberville, don't you? Right? So that kind of like, my biggest thing is Lanning. I'm not buying it. I wasn't buying into it from the get-go, but I'm not buying into it now until I see anything else. And I talked with someone about like, does it make sense or this scenario happen? So to me, if you're going to have that conversation, you need to talk about Freeze, Grimes. They would keep Caddy. Kiffin, I agree with you. Kiffin seems like a guy that doesn't give a flying flip about it. And Sanders too, about your priorities. To me, let me think about this. I'm trying to think if I agree that Sanders would keep Caddy. As a player's type of coach that Sanders seems to be, I think he would value Caddy in that sense. But I don't know. His personality is just a little too big to make me think he'd want to. Stan says he doesn't think any couches. Well, I don't think any couches will remain either. Coaches, maybe not. Rob's checking in, packing up, leaving Chesapeake tomorrow afternoon, leaving Huntsville sometime Friday for Auburn. So stoked to be in Auburn with our Auburn family. Cannot wait for that. My issue with Freeze isn't the recruiting scandal, it's the women of the night and their disrespect for an assault victim. Listen, I don't know the ins or outs or truth of that. Nobody truly does. So here's what I know is I've been told by people I trust about opinion that the guy is a changed man, and I don't know him personally. So those are people I trust. So I'm just going to, believe that until otherwise, because all of that other stuff is just speculation. And I think there's some social media interactions that prove the whole assault victim thing. And I'm not dismissing that because that's a very serious thing. But I would agree with you. I'm glad that the recruiting issue of cheating is not a bigger issue from that. That's the correct way to think about that. But, it's tough. It's a tough situation, but you have to trust that he's the best option if they bring him in. Every couch cheats. Struggling, huh? Or was that on purpose? Caddy said a lot of them had reached out to him and may possibly be there. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of them will try to be there if they can. Rob, you gave tickets away and didn't give them to me? How dare you, my friend? It's not like you've done anything else for me. How dare you, sir? I think I'll find a way to forgive you. All right. Did I get a little bit behind there? I think I'm back on track now. Kiffin cares about Kiffin. I agree with that. We never reported Lanning was coming. We reported that what they've communicated, and we have the same with Freeze, yet no one freaked out about that. I think because this is my speculation, Jack, that Freeze is a more likely option than Lanning. Lanning was so far out there. And listen, trust me, I 100% get the things are reported and change, or the information didn't line up, because gone through some of that myself. So I'm not in any way faulting you guys, but that one to me was so far out there that I had a hard time. It felt Brian Harsin-esque. I'll be honest with you. I was like, interesting. Really, really interesting. Don't see how this connects, but I've been wrong. I never saw Brian Harsin coming. So, there is that. Linda would love Lanning. It's not that I don't think Lanning would leave Oregon. It's just that we've made this big old stink, the fans have, about we want a proven winner this time. Frankly, Lanning's not a proven winner. He's been part of winning programs, some of the best, as a Georgia assistant. He is doing very well with what he has at Oregon. Now, might I add and submit to you that is it possible? I'm just asking if it's possible that Lanning is reaping the benefits of what was left over by Cristobal at Oregon. You can only deal with what you have in front of you. But is it possible? It probably is highly probable. It probably is. It is highly probable that he is reaping some of those benefits. So if we were talking about Dan Lanning, 3 years removed from this situation, he's in his third year, and we're seeing the same results, I'd probably buy into that a little bit more. But that's just me. Yes, tickets are pricey. Let's see. Let's just hire Bruce. You're not in a minority. It will be a very much disliked hire if that happens, but that, in my opinion, will be an excellent hire for long-term stability. But it's kind of Grimes has the same thing wrong that Lanning has in terms of no head coaching. He has no head coaching experience. Lanning is just getting started. So you can be, yes, I'm not arguing that he's not a Southern boy. That doesn't negate the whole lack of head coaching scenario that we all seem to want to have. Well, as a collective, we want to have. The Auburn family is big on saying War Eagle. I think you would have to hit Kiffin with a cattle prod. We're all assuming that, Craig. I saw something today talking about that. Maybe it was it the roundtable discussion? I think they're called the Roundtable Podcast, or the Next Round. And they were talking about the culture fit, like a Hugh Freeze versus a Lane Kiffin. And I think it's obvious that it would fit Hugh Freeze better, and Auburn vice versa would fit Hugh Freeze. But we don't know that. Maybe Lane's just not found that place that connects it. We all talk about it. Auburn gets in your system and you can't let it go. I still sit where I stand on this. I sit where I am struggling tonight. I still stand where I did previously on this, that my mind for now is made up that Lane Kiffin is the best option. That is not me saying that I want him as our head coach, but given what we seem to want and need for our program's overall stability, without other things that other people won't have at play, Lane Kiffin is the best option. Prime is his head coach. OC Cadillac no more Muschamp. No more Muschamp. I'm done. We talked about this before. I'm done with Muschamp. No, never again. Done with him. Loved having him both times. Yeah, done it once, fine. Done it twice, sure. 3 times, no. Yes, he did have head coaching experience. And I'm talking about now is that we need someone with probably Power 5 coaching experience. That's why Deion doesn't check that box for me. Yeah, he brings an initial hype, but I don't know that he'd stay, but bring staying power with him. HJG coming in late, but am I the only one feeling a different energy and actually excited to watch the game Saturday? I mean, I felt that way this past Saturday. Did nobody else feel that way? I did. I loved it. Yeah, you're not the only one. The video I did today, is this the most important game of Auburn's 2022 year? Answer's probably yes. Now Neil is just trying to get on the feel good group here. I wouldn't be mad at it, but Takeo doesn't have DC experience. We need to go for people that are either ready to take a DC job or an OC job or a head coaching job. You need a guy with experience, in my opinion. With Freeze, my morality gets in the way, but other than that, he's not a bad hire. I think we can do better there. I love that you said that. I think that's a great place to be, that Jack, and I concur with you in that. That is a concern for me as well. But where's the grace come in? I'll ask you that, because I think a lot of people who watch this understand when I say that, but there's this concept of grace, and I think we need to also extend it sometimes. I'm not saying we should in terms of hiring him. Can't hold people's past against them forever. It's also their responsibility to show that they're better. Sometimes you just gotta forgive. But he's waiting for Bama to retire. I don't know that he is. Now, I could be 100% off on this. Why would you want to go to Alabama other than that you would have some immediate success the way they're set up currently? Don't talk to some of Bama fans. They're falling apart right now. 2 losses. Oh, can you imagine? Why would you want to be the guy that follows Nick Saban, that followed Bear Bryant, which means on their hierarchy of coaches, you will never be higher than 3. And you still got lots of other coaches. Here you've got Shug, you got Pat, but Pat doesn't have the championship, right? So you could pass him in a sense in terms of our hierarchy. To me, that's a better fit. Thank you for that, Dusty. I sit where I stand. I don't even know how you do that. I'm sitting where I could stand. You guys always keep me humble. All right, let me skip ahead here. It seems like I got behind. Let's see here. What is it with AU and wanting to hire Ole Miss coaches, Tubbs, Kiffin, and Freeze? Well, I think look at it the other way. What is it with Ole Miss losing coaches to us, or former coaches, and current coaches? I talked to Jason, the Ole Miss, in our preview for that game, the Ole Miss guy, and he was very candid and honest. And he said, we're not Auburn. We're not a destination place. And I think it's hard for people to still remember that, right? This is still a destination program. This isn't a place that you traditionally look to bounce to the next place. Now, if you go get a Lane Kiffin or a Deion, that's probably higher likely than everywhere else. But a Hugh Freeze, if he gets here, he's looking to stay. A Jeff Grimes, if he gets here, he's looking to stay. You could probably make a case that Dan Lanning, if that was a possibility, be probably staying. But I don't know that Lane, that Deion would. And that is something to think about. Do you think he'll have the opportunity to kick off? Do I think? I mean, it's just a tough question because I can think something all I want, but it doesn't make it true. Frankly, I'm a big seniority guy. Like, if you've been here, earned your time, you earn the respect to finish out, especially when, I mean, frankly, we're not, just don't overreact when you hear me say this, but we're not playing for much other than pride at this point and potentially a bowl game somehow. Let the guy gave another year to us, and he did it for his own benefit too, to come back. Let him finish out. I mean, yes, at this point, McPherson's not going to burn his red shirt, and it doesn't hurt anything. But if we get up on somehow, if we just destroy Texas A&M or Western Kentucky, let McPherson play. But don't take that away, in my opinion, from Anders at this point. I get everybody's frustrated with him. That's just me, though. I don't think that he needs to be forgiven. I think he needs to show that he won't put himself in a position to screw up again. I don't 100% agree with you on that, Jack, but that's a deeper, more theological discussion we can have at another time, because I know that won't interest everybody here. It is an important discussion. I don't know that I agree with your assessment of that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's something why I'd need to hear it in person, hear you explain it that way. But again, like I said, we can ever meet up and talk about that. I love those discussions too. If that's true, then, I mean, you could see that carrying over here to Auburn. He's loyal to no team. He's a Cal grad. Depends on, yeah. Listen, I hear you guys. I hear the fears about him coming, but make a better case that you can prove, not just speculation. Deion's going to bring the recruits in. You can't prove that. It's probably true, but Kiffin has shown that he can do that too. Did the transfer portal better than anybody else? Yes, this transfer portal, but it's the same concept. Make a solid, fact-based case for all the other big candidates and prove that it's better than Kiffin. You're not going to be able to do it. And that's me saying that I don't necessarily prefer him, but I'm just trying to operate from a place of reality. At least what I view as reality. Heisman candidate Bo Nix. Listen, I would love nothing more than Bo to win the Heisman, but it's not going to happen. I love that he's in the conversation, and I hope he gets to be there in New York. Well, do they do it in New York anymore? I can't remember. In all caps. Okay, please. What are we sitting at here? Technically, we end at 9. I can go a few minutes left and leave the phone. If you'd like to call in, HD, and explain, please. But you do realize that every other choice has been passed over by someone else too, right? If you're buying into that storyline, that's just social media fodder, my friend. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that some people didn't want to get rid of him, but we got him now. No sense making a big fuss about it at this point. Yeah, I think I said that he won't burn a red shirt, so you could use him now. Oscar Chapman for Heisman. Yeah, the rate he was going this year, he deserved to be. If he is not, I don't know how many they send to the finals. I think it's 3 for those other awards, but if he's not a Ray Guy finalist, that's a shame. I don't think he's in the running for it, but man. You have missed a lot. Where have you been? We all thought you were in the kitchen. Over under on if he starts, very low. Very low. All kids locked into the room. You act like this is some non-family friendly show. But yeah. Todd Monken, what are you bringing up Todd Monken for? What's you bringing Todd Monken up for? What's that? Are you suggesting him as a head coach? No head coach experience, right? Now, I say that as someone who's rooting for Jeff Grimes with no head coaching experience, but I think he checks other boxes that I know other people don't value as much. Why would he be a great coach? Just because he's having good success at Georgia right now? I'm not saying it's wrong, but it seems to me that the case that everybody is making for Coach X, Coach Y, Coach Z is always matched by Coach Kiffin. I don't like admitting that, but that's how I see it. Mike Bobo. Now you're just trying to stir stuff up. Yeah. Mike Bobo. I think his time at Auburn is long, long past. All right. I will go ahead and close the phone lines down. We're not going away just yet, but we will wrap up here in a little bit. So where is that at? There you go. So if you were calling in right now, you can take advantage of it, but I'm going to go ahead and take the reminder down. All right. Continue to get your comments and questions. Let me take care of a couple of things. Always at the end of the show, want to remind you what we got coming up, what to keep in mind. First of all, have you subscribed? Be a subscriber. Got a giveaway going on. Don't miss out on it. Signed Auburn football details are in the description. All you got to do is subscribe and leave a comment. Everybody here, if you want to have another entry into the contest, because remember, you can't guarantee unless you're actually subscribed and leaving a comment on as many videos as possible that are eligible. So to the comment section, live chat comments do not count. As soon as this is over, come back and just say, had a great time tonight. And then that's an entry for you into the contest. Don't miss that opportunity. Tomorrow night, we're doing our A&M live stream. Don't have any A&M fans scheduled yet. Probably not going to happen, but we will at least get together and talk about it. So don't miss it at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for a live stream of that. Check out all the links in the description for ways you can help support the content that we do here. You can be a channel member. We've gotten a new one since then. We've gotten a new Booster Club member. All those good things. Check them out there. You don't have to do any of that, though. You can just be here, hang out with us, spend some time. The only thing I ask you to do is the most free thing that you can do. Smash the like button. That's it. That's all I ask, really. I told you all the other 1,000 things you can do, but if you can do that one thing for me, that is the biggest actual help. And we just appreciate you being here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think thought we had something else going on there. Let's see. Kyle, save me a place at Tiger Walk, please. I can't guarantee it, Linda, but I will always remember to look for you because I think this one's going to be pretty packed. So I would get there early. Don't miss it. Wilfred and Ike made the best halftime adjustments of the season. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? To watch that happen. A lot of criticism, some maybe rightfully so for Wilfred, but you got to give him credit where credit is due. As a reminder, Kirby had 0 head coaching experience. Right. And I'm not saying that a candidate is immediately disqualified because they don't have head coaching experience. That's why I'm a fan of Jeff Grimes. But I think we've reached a position where we need to have something that's surefire. Lane has won everywhere he went. Hugh has won everywhere he went. Deion has been to one place. Todd Monken has been no place. Jeff Grimes has been no place. Tad Lanning's just getting started. That's why I dismiss them somewhat. I don't even know. I would just gag constantly for the first 5 hours of that being announced if that became true. Did you see my freeze point? I made it more concise. Let me go back up and we'll Freeze hasn't been put in position as big as Ole Miss. So if he was at a bigger program, would he revert back to those tactics and habits? That's my point. He has to prove that he has developed as a person. But how can you do that if you're not given the opportunity to do so? I get what you're saying, and it's not that I think you're completely wrong in it, Jack. I just think you're off just a little bit. I understand what you're getting at, though. But I love your heart on that issue. It's nice to know that someone else kind of thinks about those things with importance. Predictions tonight. I predict I'm going to go to sleep. I predict I'm going to probably get ready to make another video. No predictions tonight. We'll do them tomorrow. So save them tomorrow night. Be here. Don't miss it. And we're going to end on that note. Scott Offer. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for being here on Wednesday nights. Always enjoy this time with you because it's super just easy going. Talking to each and every one of you. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. And I love and appreciate you guys so very much. Till I talk to you again tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Don't miss it. War Eagle.